Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very first live edition of the Open Mic TV show, broadcasting live from the NHTV studios in North Haven, Connecticut. I am your host, Michael Cuomo. Welcome along on this Wednesday evening, January 2nd, 2013. Happy New Year to everyone out there in TV land. I have a jam-packed show to get to, a debut show, if you will, here. For anyone watching that knows me, I was doing my open mic show for the last year and a half out of Wallingford, Connecticut at the WPA studios. And now going forward, I will be doing the show from the much and improved NHTV North Haven studios. Very excited to be here. I want to thank Mr. Walter Mann for having me on and for being a part of this great studio here in North Haven. The number to call in, as you can see on the screen, 203-234-0025. I will be here till 9 o'clock. However, I will not be alone. As promised through my Facebook postings and any other postings that I may have posted, I want to now pan the camera out and introduce my two special guests this evening. And there they are. To the left is Mr. Ed McCarver, and he is joined by Mr. Tom Dacey. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Ed, Tom, thank you for coming on the very first open mic show here at NHTV.
Well, we'd like to welcome you to the NHTV family.
We're making history tonight.
And a very, very nice opening sequence with the city in the background. Doesn't look like North Haven, but nice city in the background and the
cool
new
music.
logo.
Yeah.
A nice,
Everything's
very
new
nice
and
job.
improved here from the old open mic. But gentlemen, thank you for coming on. We're going to get to some things going on with Tom and with you, Ed. But before we get to you, gentlemen, I just want to quickly throw out the poll question. And as people know from watching open mic, there's usually a poll question, trivia question. However, tonight's poll question is, what is your number one New Year's resolution? What is the number one thing on your New Year's resolution list? If you want to call in, the number is 203-234-0025. Let us know. I'm going to start with Ed. What is one of many of your New Year's resolutions you want to share with the viewers?
Well, actually, the New Year's resolution I wanted to continue to have a pulse in the year 2013. You know, I'm not a young man anymore.
Well, you don't look a day over 40.
Well, thank you. You may want to check your company vision plan at your employer, but I appreciate that. But I used to have the usual resolutions. You know, maybe lose a little weight, maybe drink a little less, and maybe cut down on my cigar intake. But usually mainly just to stay healthy and you know, to continue to enjoy myself and to continue to stay employed by my executive producer here of Talking with Tom.
And speaking of your executive producer, Tom, any New Year's resolutions from you, sir?
Continue my charity work.
Okay, that's great.
And help others.
I have several. One is to get back to my fighting weight, and I won't say what that number is, but it's a ways to go.
How many fights did you get in?
Let's see. I was married once, and oh, sorry. And another resolution is to, in addition to having NHTV here as my new home, I want to have a resolution of trying to have on more guests on the open mic show, more, you know, possibly on a weekly basis to just get all different walks of life and backgrounds, and you know, we'll see what happens. But speaking of walks of life and different backgrounds, you two gentlemen are par for the course tonight. I mean, we have a Jet fan and a Dolphin fan. I mean, how opposite can you get?
Congratulations to your Buffalo Bills too, by the way, the other day.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills. They finished the season 6-10, and ironically, as Ed McCarver knows, although he won't admit to this, I predicted back in August that the New York Jets, with this whole Tim Tebow debacle, would finish the season 6-10. And Tom Dacey, can you let the audience know what the Jets' finishing record was?
You were correct, sir. 6-10.
Thank you very much.
They were 6-10. I thought for sure they would be 10-6 or 11-4, and
11-5.
11-5, yes, but they were short of that, you know, and Mark Sanchez, who had such a good opening game against your Buffalo Bills.
Oh, yeah.
I think I told my wife after the first game I wanted to have Mark Sanchez's baby. I was so happy with him. And then now it was a debacle the rest of the season. And now Mike Tannenbaum's gone, the general manager, and who knows what Rex Ryan's future is. But I am glad that I was alive during Joe Namath and his Super Bowl run in 1969.
Mr. Pantyhose?
Yes, never mind. And I think...
was it 69 when the Jets won?
Yes, it was January 12th, 1969 here. So it
44 years ago.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So it and I probably will be the last one I see in my lifetime, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Do you remember seeing Joe Namath on the Brady Bunch?
No. Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. But well, because HBO did a nice special on Joe Namath. It was a great biography, and it goes through the Pantyhose, the Brady Bunch, and also the Susie Culver interview where he was, you know, had a few too many adult beverages before that interview. But yeah, Joe is the only bright light in my New York Jet skylight, I think. So,
oh, wow.
As for all of us Jet fans.
Now, real quick, gentlemen, if anyone's out there watching in TV land who's tuning in and they haven't seen Open Mic, obviously, or maybe they have and they forgot what it's about, it's just to give everyone out there a quick background on what Open Mic is. It's just a avenue, it's a live talk show for you, the viewer, to call in and express what's on your mind. It could be sports related, as we're talking about, political stuff, local news, national news, news of the weird, you know, stuff you want to get off your chest. If you want to call and vent, talk about pet peeves, whatever. I give you the opportunity to call in and talk about whatever it is, hence the name Open Mic. So, you know, please call in tonight. The number's on the screen. We have Ed McCarver and Tom Dacey joining me tonight as my special guest. We will get into some sports in a couple minutes. We will also talk about some national news, and we have to bring this up because it's on every newscast you turn about this whole fiscal cliff debacle. And again, if anyone out there is tuning in late, the poll question is up on the screen, and it is, what is your New Year's resolution this year? Give us a call, 203-234-0025 with your answer. Now, gentlemen, speaking of this fiscal cliff, as you both know, it was finally finalized late last night. And this fiscal cliff, you know, it almost took as long as a senior citizen couple to come to an orgasm. I mean, this thing has been going on for months and months and months, and it's, you know, finally over with. What are your thoughts on, you know, are you glad it's over? I mean, one thing this hasn't addressed is the actual spending. You know, it's talking about unemployment, it's talking about, you know, not raising taxes, blah, blah, blah. But I guess a lot of Republicans are pointing the finger at Mr. Obama, saying it doesn't really take care of the spending part of it. But in a nutshell, not to make this a political show, are you guys fed up with the fiscal cliff? Are you happy it's over?
I'm glad it's over. I'm tired of hearing about it for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I spent New Year's Eve, it was between watching the fiscal cliff discussion, the New Year's Eve's parties on ABC, and the Twilight Zone marathon, which shows you what an exciting life I have. But I am glad it was settled. Just looking at the stock market today, it was up, I think, over 300 points.
Right.
So that was good. I don't think it's the end of the fight, and they're already talking about in March the fiscal debt ceiling is going to pop into play. So all this nonsense that we saw, and I was telling Tommy, I heard one of the CNN reporters, you know, talking New Year's Eve, and I remember she was complaining. She says, "This is not how I planned to spend my New Year's Eve." You know, having a 30-second walkthrough with Joe Biden as he went through with some of the other Democrats.
Yeah.
So she was complaining about that, but
timing was impeccable.
Yeah. But I think this whole scene is going to repeat itself in March. And of course, if it runs into their St. Patrick's Day, then that'll be trouble too.
Now, I don't know if you heard this, but there's a rumor circulating that the House Speaker John Boehner allegedly took a shot at Harry Reid outside the Oval Office and used quote. I'll actually use the quote here. John Boehner told Harry Reid to go bleep yourself.
Really?
Not once, but twice. And the reason was Harry Reid labeled John Boehner as a dictator. So apparently that's, set this whole feud off. And there's no love lost between those two congressmen or politicians. But what are your thoughts about, foul language being used there in the Oval Office?
Boehner and Reid taking their cue from the Linda McMahon, Chris Murphy debate. Are they running for re-election? Yeah.
But it's 2013. It's a new year. Let's hope that the congressional leaders and Senate leaders and whatnot, whatever side of the aisle you're on, hopefully they can get along this year and get things done.
It would be nice, yeah.
It's really upsetting the American people that they can't get their act together.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, a brand new show here at NHTV, the Open Mic TV show. Joined by Tom Dacey and McCarver this evening. We'll be here till 9 o'clock. If you tuned in late and you want to call in, the poll question tonight is, what is your New Year's resolution? Give me a call, 203-234-0025. Just to quickly note with scheduling that in next week, which is January 9th, I won't be on. There won't be any open mic show. It'll resume the following week, which would be Wednesday, January 16th at 8 o'clock. So this way, next Wednesday night, you guys can do whatever you normally do on Wednesday nights.
Nothing.
There you go.
And of course, you are on YouTube.
Yes, I didn't have the time to give Mike, the production director here, the notes, but you can, as Tom mentioned, you can see the show on YouTube. The replay of tonight's show will be on probably late tonight.
Late tonight, early tomorrow morning.
Early tomorrow. And you can go to youtube.com/openmic80. Correct?
Correct.
And facebook.com/openmictv. So, and on the Facebook page, which we'll promote as we go through the weeks, it'll give you more information, upcoming guests, late breaking news, etc., etc. Quickly, gentlemen, I want to switch gears now. Have you guys ever heard of the term apple picking? I'm sure you have as kids. You go to the farms and
You went to Lyman Orchards, haven't you?
Yeah, and I
it's not a trick question.
I'll tell you, I'm familiar with the term apple picking, but I think what you're making reference to was something that actually my son Drew told me this last night. I won't
You won't
let it out of the bag, but I think what you're making reference to is something that
has to do with the
one of the advantages of having children is you get caught up on things that they're.
Well, as Ed McCarver is alluding to, and as my story gets to here, there's been a rash of robberies, if you will, from people that actually own Apple products, iPhones, iPads, iPods, and a lot of it actually happened in New Haven. A lot of recent cases where there's people walking in New Haven, minding their business, talking on their iPhone, and somebody will come by them on their bicycle and swipe their phone from them.
Oh yes, I did hear that.
Which is now known as apple picking. So there was
Drew had shown me a video on YouTube, and I don't know if it was staged or not, but a kid was in the subway listening to on a headset.
Yep.
And when the subway opened up, the kid standing behind him just grabbed the headset and ran out the door.
Yeah.
And he said, that's apple picking.
Yeah, and here's an apple picking that you probably are going to shake your head at. This happened yesterday in downtown Paris. I don't know if you heard about this. An Apple store was robbed. $1.3 million worth of iPhones, iPads, and other devices from masked robbers that broke into the Apple store when it was closed. They actually even made mention that they pulled up with a Mercedes van. So apparently they're already well off. And the bandits made off with $1.3 million worth of Apple products.
Unbelievable.
Talk about apple
my
picking.
God.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, hopefully a few of those apples had worms in it, so maybe they can try and figure it out.
That's right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it is, and I know this show is going to fly by, as you guys know, when you do a live show. flies
Yep.
by.
Yeah.
We are already 8:15. We're here till 9 o'clock taking your calls, 203-234-0025. Give us a call. If you want to say, whatever's on your mind. If you want to get to the poll question as to what is your New Year's resolution, Tom, Ed, and myself already gave you our response. So let's hear your response for New Year's resolutions. Guys, I wanted to quickly, I don't know how quickly I want to get to it because we haven't had any calls, but I want to switch gears with some notable deaths that took place in 2012. And as of tonight's show, I was mentioning to Ed and Tom off the air that and I don't know her well because of my age is being shown here, and no offense to you guys, but Patti Page, the great singer Patti
Yeah.
Page, passed away. I don't know how old she was, or if anyone out there knows, you want to call in.
Well, she was very popular in the 50s and the 60s, and I know her. And she's too bad. She was a legendary singer. I'll tell you, the first thing that comes to mind about notable deaths,
Yes.
if I may, and with
Sure.
a local flavor, is Ernest Borgnine, who
Yes.
had some roots in this town.
Yep.
Of course, everybody knows him from McHale's Navy and From Here to Eternity, and Marty, motion picture, which I think he won an Oscar
Matter
for.
of fact, as I told you before, Ed, if you go into my old barber shop over here in town, Ron's Barber Shop has a picture of
did say
Ernest
that, yeah.
Borgnine hanging in the barber shop.
Yeah. But he was one of the more notable passings in the past year.
Yeah. Well, I have, more of a national list. I don't think anyone really has any home stories or ties, but I guess the most notable death, and there's several, but 2012 would be Whitney Houston. I don't know, I would say she was probably one of the more notable deaths. And we have people from all different backgrounds on this list. Alex Karras from Webster, Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles.
Just this past week alone, right? There was like at least 4 or 5 in the past week and a half.
Well, one of my favorites, Jack Klugman.
Yes, from The Odd Couple.
From The Odd Couple in Quincy, and a great character actor, passed away. And Charles Durning, who's one of these, if you go to the movies, and you know the face, in Tootsie, he tried to pick up Dustin Hoffman.
And he was also on Evening Shade with Burt Reynolds.
Yes, and also in the original Sting, he was the detective in the Sting. Whenever he walked, you could hear his shoes would squeak.
Oh, really?
A great character actor.
More names on the list was Michael Clark Duncan, who was from The Green Mile.
Yep.
Great movie. Neil Armstrong. Who could forget about Neil?
Mm-hmm.
He's on the list. Sherman Hemsley from The Jeffersons.
Yep.
And Amen.
Amen. Andy Griffith. Rodney King, who we all forgot about.
Yep.
Passed away last summer. I think his girlfriend found him in the pool. He had drowned and...
Yeah, and a young man too. I think in his mid-40s, if I'm not mistaken.
There was speculation that she hit him and he drowned because she hit him into the pool. They were supposedly arguing. Then there was rumor that he overdosed or they found some sort of drugs in his system. So I don't know the actual cause of death
I do
yet.
remember that, but yeah.
Robin Gibb from the Bee Gees,
Yep.
one of my favorite groups. And last but not least, Donna Summer. So
The Queen of Disco, as they called her, who later I think became born again,
Yep.
and died again, I guess. But she made it to 63, died in Naples, Florida. So
she was young, only 63.
yes, very talented actress,
Yeah.
or singer rather.
Yeah, well, same thing. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Open Mic Show, the debut of the Open Mic Show here at NHTV. Very excited to be here. Give us a call, and when I say us, I'm joined by Ed McCarver and Tom Dacey. And the number's on the screen, 203-234-0025. Mr. Dacey,
Yes.
let's get to your upcoming anniversary special. It was supposed to be held this week, but due to a setback with your health and
Yes. Unfortunately, my roommate John and I both have had colds the last 2 weeks, so editing has been delayed.
If you can just hold that thought, Tom, we're going to get to that in a second. I was told we have our first caller of the night.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Good evening, caller. You're live on the Open Mic TV show.
Yeah, this is Elvis. I have a New Year's resolution. I'm extremely dismayed by the results of the national elections just a few months ago, and I've decided to stop following politics completely. I've just about given up on everything. I don't want to hear anything about any politics or anything. So my resolution is not to hear anything about politics or talk about politics. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
And I'm sorry, caller, did you say your name was Elvis?
Yes, no relation.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, I would agree that politics is a very touchy subject. It's always politics and religion. But I think politics bores me more. You know, if it was up to me, I certainly don't want to make this show about politics, but I will bring it up when I need to in the event of big and major news. But if I never talked about a politician ever again from this day forward, it wouldn't bother me one bit.
Yeah, I've learned that, you know, there's no real sense in even getting in discussions with people about politics because it usually just leads to arguments. So it's something that I just don't want to know about anymore. I'd rather just follow the sports. And speaking of that, why do you think, do you think that Tebow will be traded for next season or what?
Good question. I certainly think Tebow will not be a New York Jet, and I personally think he's going to go one of two teams. One being the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he lives and grew up in Florida. And the other team is actually my team that I root for, the Buffalo Bills. I have a strong feeling he might go to the Bills. Ed and Tom?
Do you think they just haven't used him because they just felt he was that awful in practice, or is it a coaching issue, or what is it?
I think that they were afraid if he came in for a series of plays and played really well, they would have to make him their starter, and therefore it would tarnish the relationship with Sanchez, which they've already done. I mean, it's a circus nonetheless, but Ed is a diehard Jet fan, so I'm going to direct this question to Ed.
I think acquiring Tebow was all the owner's idea, Woody Johnson, because it generated a ton of publicity. It made the back pages of the New York Post and the Daily News all the time. From everything I've been hearing, and I probably hear my information from the same place you do, the papers and WFAN and the sports shows, is that Rex Ryan and the now ex-general manager Mike Tannenbaum weren't particularly sold on Tebow, but Woody Johnson wanted it because of the publicity. Tebow's agent and Rex Ryan's agent are the same person, so there's a connection there. But I just think next year he'll
say though that Woody Johnson is the owner. He's the boss. And if I was Woody Johnson, I would call the coach up and say, I don't care what you think, this is what you're doing. And why he wouldn't do that, why he doesn't exercise, I mean, he's God as far as the Jets are concerned. What he says goes, but it doesn't appear to be that way.
Well, I think that's what Woody Johnson did. I'm not sure Rex and the rest of the crew wanted Tebow in here, but I think it was Woody Johnson's idea because it would generate a bunch of publicities. I think after he was signed, there was a ton of Tebow T-shirts, jerseys for sale, and I can't remember any David Carr jerseys for sale for the New York Giants.
One other question for you on the Knicks: will they go all the way, or are they going to choke?
I think they're going to choke in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to make a good run for it. It's funny, Amari Stoudemire comes back last night from his injury, first debut of the year, and the Knicks lose. And there's conflicting, opinions that Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony cannot coincide on the same team, essentially almost playing the same position. So I actually, as crazy as it seems, I'd rather keep Carmelo Anthony and use Amari Stoudemire as trade bait and maybe bring
I was just going to say that. I totally agree. Mello is where it's at, and
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks for your call, and welcome. Good to see you on here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the call, Elvis.
Yes.
Thanks. Well, I guess he's alive. He sounds great for his age.
It does.
Yeah, he sounds better dead than I do alive. Elvis has left the building, I guess.
He has left the building,
so.
and
That's a good call.
great call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, if anybody out there is watching and wants to call in, as Elvis just did, 203-234-0025. Call in with your New Year's resolution that you're going to get to. And if there's anything we've talked about, sports, politics, national news, the apple picking debacle in Paris, give us a call. But before we got to that call, Tom, I was talking to you about your anniversary show. It is rescheduled for Tuesday night, January 29th at 7 p.m.
Yes, it'll be a 90-minute episode.
Okay.
And actually, this month actually starts my 19th year of Talking with Tom.
19 years. Wow. Let's give him a round of applause for that, huh?
It's a long road.
And Ed, you've been with me now since, what, 2001?
I think so. I think I was around for maybe 8 or 10 of those 19 years.
Well, all the years seem to blend in for Ed after a while.
Yes, they do. 1969 seems like it was just yesterday. But I actually met Tom at WPAA in Wallingford, and after I finished my run with John Sullivan at WPAA, Tom had graciously asked if I would mind going on as being co-host with him, and I jumped at the chance because it's so much fun.
Well, it keeps you out of Maureen's hair too, right?
Yes,
so
yes. She jumped at the chance too to have me come here too.
Speaking of WPAA, it's funny you mentioned that studio, Ed. It seems like a lot of shows throughout the years have sort of distanced themselves from WPAA and found their home here at NHTV. Is it a coincidence? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's...
Because I know you did a show with John Sullivan.
Yeah, with John Sullivan and I
Michael Buckley did a show.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Ed and I were just talking off the air earlier that, you know, you'll never have the good old days back. Back in the day of WPAA, they had live shows every night of the week.
Right.
Monday nights was Table for Two with Michael Buckley and Kristen Baltermitis. Tuesday night was Talking with Tom. Wednesday night was Mr. McCarver and John Sullivan. Yeah. Thursday night you had Hysterical Sports with Mark Brennan and Herb Bailey. Friday nights was Planet Access with Joe Jakowski and Catherine Robinson, and also our good friend Private Scratch.
Yep, Private Scratch, who was a puppet, was a young man that actually had one of those hand puppets. It was a very funny show.
I'm amazed Tom remembered all those shows.
Well, I mean, I was there every night.
Were you?
It does seem like years ago, and I feel, you know, they talk about the Marx Brothers as the golden age of movies. I think of that time as probably the golden, for me it was the golden age of public access.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got involved in it through John Sullivan, who was doing Little League Baseball. From that it morphed into Wednesday Night Live, and then we did, you know, high school football, high school basketball. One of my favorite events, and something I'm still involved with now, is the Relay for Life in Meriden Wallingford. We covered that, the Trail of Terror.
Yeah.
I've
seen
so
some
of
your shows at replays, and I loved it. I told you when I was doing my show in Wallingford how great you and John did your show back in the day. So.
Well, we have, and like with Tommy, John and I have good chemistry on the air and off the air, and in the same way with Tommy. And I think it's, you know, you have to like what you do, and you know, I love working with Tommy, and like I say, the Wednesday Night Live was so much fun, and it was a lot of work.
And like we always say, when it stops being fun, that's when we'll stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, I mean,
for 19 years, it's been
right.
fun, and it's, you know.
Now, Tommy, just getting back to your show. Again, it's going to be here on NHTV Tuesday, January 29th, 7 to 8:30, your 19th anniversary special. Any guests lined up or anything on the horizon for that show?
Well, I know you're going to be in attendance that night.
Oh, of course, you know.
And of course...
you mean special guests?
Yes.
Can somebody cut Ed's mic off?
I believe First Selectman Michael Frieda will be in attendance that evening, too.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Now, let's talk, Tommy, about some of your fundraising efforts for your Tommy Palooza, which you hold every year. Generally, it's in November, October?
Usually October, November.
Yeah.
This past year was to benefit NHTV, and we raised $813 for NHTV with the help of our friends over at J. Ruse.
Great establishment, and they were very, very helpful And we had some pretty good talent, and yeah, it was a fun afternoon. It was a Saturday afternoon.
Yep. And I am already in the planning stages for this year's Tommy Palooza.
Any ideas where it's going to be held?
Haven't discussed that yet. Possibility we may go back to the Elks.
Okay.
In Wallingford.
Nice.
But I'm going to be doing it for Shriners Hospital for Crippled Children in Springfield, Mass.
Oh, okay.
That's where I had all my surgery over the years.
Yep.
So I've been in contact with them, and in a few weeks, my cameraman John Gingras and I will be going up to the hospital to shoot some V-roll footage.
It's up in Springfield?
Yep.
Is that the hospital? I'm sorry to interrupt you. About 5 years ago, they had a statue or an image of Mary on the glass on the windows, and they had a big media blitz.
I don't believe it was Shriners. I'm not sure.
I actually was at a hospital there to go check it out. I think it was right over the border. So
yeah, I don't believe it was Shriners though.
Okay. Anyway, I'll be quiet now.
But so that's what it'll benefit this year. Will be Shriners Hospital.
Great. And obviously we'll talk more about it as the date approaches. You also have your Facebook page and YouTube, so it'll be up there.
Yes, and should we give our YouTube address, Ed?
Sure.
Sure.
Our YouTube address is Talking with Tom NHTV 18.
Okay. And Facebook is Talking with Tom?
Yep.
There you go. So if you go on Facebook, Talking with Tom, he'll have the information, and as the date approaches, you can mark it down in your calendars. I anticipated a quiet phone tonight, first show. Everyone's still somewhat hungover. But
including the guest.
Yeah, including the guest. You know, I didn't want to say that.
How many adult beverages did you have last night?
Not enough.
I keep dropping this thing here. I'll get used to all the equipment here. We are in the second half of the show, gentlemen. Before, I want to maybe just quickly delve into some sports. And before we do that, I want to remind the viewers out there, if you're watching, tuning in late, want to know what the heck is this show about, well, give us a call, 203-234-0025. I am joined by Ed McCarver, Tom Dacey tonight. It is the Open Mic TV show, allowing you to call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. Trivia question or poll question tonight, what is your New Year's resolution? Don't be shy and bashful. Call in 203-234-0025 and let us know what is your resolution. It could be more than one because a lot of people...
I have another one.
You have another one? Okay.
Bash the Jets more in 2013.
Oh, okay.
That'll be fine.
Well, I don't think they'll... I don't think you're going to have to bash them much. I mean, they're probably going to be 4-12 this year. I got to still predict it. I'm going to be right on again, like I was this past prediction. But let's talk about some sports if we could. As we all know, this past Monday was known as Black Monday in the NFL, which is the day after the season ends, in which several coaches, general managers are fired. And Ed would probably know this more than all of us here, but was this an unprecedented Black Monday with 7 head coaches being fired? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure if it's a record or not, but
on all days it's New Year's Eve and you get a pink slip. I mean,
well, I think it's traditionally after the Monday following the last Sunday of the season, so it just happened to fall on New Year's Eve, but that didn't stop these cutthroats in the front office from ruining. Although I'm sure people like Andy Reid and Champ Gailey and Romeo Crennel knew that they would be shown the door.
Yeah. And speaking of some of those coaches, Andy Reid, for example, is rumored, 95% to be rumored to be the new Arizona Cardinal head coach.
And I'm surprised at that, because I thought with Andy Reid, especially, and without really going into it too much, but he's had a couple of personal tragedies the last year or so. You think he might want to just sit back, take a year off. And
he worked 14 years straight, maybe just take a little time off.
Yeah, but he wants to jump right back into it, and I wish him luck. Those in the know say he's a tremendous coach.
Right.
So,
and the NFL playoffs start this weekend. believe it or not. I would, looking at the schedule of games, I would say the biggest surprise would be the surprising success of RG3 and the Redskins. Beating
the Cowboys.
They beat the Cowboys Sunday night, won the NFC East. Talk about the Cowboys. If there's any Cowboy fans watching that want to call in, how many? You guys, I think, have won one playoff game since 1995, which is crazy.
Somebody had posted to me on Facebook, how do you say Tony Romo's name in Spanish? The answer is Mark Sanchez. Which was painful, but
that's great.
But very true.
Yeah.
I like that.
Isn't that amazing, though? 18 years, they've won one playoff game, the Dallas Cowboys. One of the, quote-unquote America's team.
Yeah. And Jerry Jones must be seething.
Oh. But RG3, although I don't predict the Redskins are going to make it to the Super Bowl, it is a good story. And who I'd really like to see get in there, which I know because of their defense they won't, is Andrew Luck and the Colts.
Yeah.
That'd be great to see the Colts make it to the Super Bowl. But all roads lead through New England and Denver. And, we don't know how it's going to play out, but New England looks tough this year.
Yep.
Yeah, they
I
do.
hate to say it, but I think you're right.
Exactly, and the same
I do
thing.
too.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but this may be the year for Brady and Belichick after an almost 8-year absence. And the only dog I have in this fight is Danny Woodhead. I'm a huge Danny Woodhead fan.
Are you?
And I would like to see him do well. But it's a lot of good stories this year. You talk about RG3, Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson out of Seattle, the rookie quarterback, and
who's playing against RG3.
Yeah. Sunday. I think it's a Sunday afternoon game. The second game.
Yeah,
Sunday
it's one of those
afternoon,
games
so.
I don't know who to root for. It's
Exactly. It's I call it emotion-free football.
Yeah.
Like I can sit back. If I was a Dallas Cowboy fan, oh God, I would need a straitjacket. It's bad enough being a Jet fan, but you watch it emotion-free, and you don't really care who wins. But there's some very entertaining football on the horizon, I think.
Yeah. And we must not forget to commend Mr. Tom Dacey and his Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
For having a better record than both our teams.
Yes. The
7-9, Tom. What happened?
I don't know. But I just want to remind our viewing audience, too, that Super Bowl Sunday, Eddie and I will be at our usual haunt in Wallingford, Lenny's Cafe, with our Super Bowl pregame show. So if you want to come down and visit us at Lenny's Cafe and give your Super Bowl predictions, Eddie and I will be down there videotaping. Between 5 and 6? Yeah,
kickoff is at 6:20 that Sunday night, and we usually set up and go down to Lenny's and tape from 5 to 6. Lenny Tremalio at Lenny's Cafe, an outstanding football player in his own right,
and a great sponsor
back
of
in the day.
ours.
Yep, and it's a lot of fun. Of course, spirits are up, even though except maybe the Patriots, the only chance of a home team being in this game. But Lenny's a good guy.
Yeah.
So, and
big Giants fan too.
Yes.
Do you guys want to, and I know I won't hold you to it, but do you want to make a Super Bowl prediction live here tonight on the air? Who's going to be in the Super Bowl?
Like I said, I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be New England.
Patriots against who? You think it's the Packers, the 49ers, the Redskins?
I just say the Packers.
Packers, 49ers. How about you, Edward?
I'm going to go with my heart because, and I'm doing the NFC team for my cousin, who's a diehard Minnesota Viking fan, and Peterson was just tremendous last week. I think they probably won't win the rematch this Saturday night.
Right.
But I will say with my heart, Minnesota, and I'll say Denver. Peyton Manning. New England has to travel to Denver, and they're talking about the Mile High City and
Have you ever been to the Mile High Club, Ed? What? It's out in Denver.
Oh, wait, Maureen's not watching. Several times.
No, it's out in Denver. It's by the stadium. I don't know what you were referring to, Ed. It's a family show, but
it goes my Southwest Airlines freebies.
I'm gonna, and it's early. A lot can change. I can make a prediction here, but I'm thinking don't overlook the 49ers. And I would say it's either the 49ers against the Broncos. I'm going to just say 49ers Broncos. The ratings, though, they'd want to have the 49ers and Patriots, two coast teams against each other. Broncos Niners is more of a West Coast thing, but
probably except for Peyton Manning, your storyline would be Peyton Manning and the 49ers. This quarterback, is he a rookie too? That was a
second year, Colin Kaepernick, yeah,
Kaepernick,
yeah, from Nevada.
So
who knows? Alex Smith, he might go to the Jets as
heard that.
as a starter.
I heard
yeah,
that too. So.
Some other, news here in sports. Some sad news, actually. This morning I read the Los Angeles Clippers owner Don Sterling, his son. I forgot his first name. He was found dead in his Malibu apartment on New Year's Day. 32 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
From an apparent overdose. So, and the Clippers are in the news because they've won, I think, 17 in a row. 18 games in a row. I mean, I'm not a huge NBA fan, but
yeah, I am not either. As a matter of fact, when Elvis was talking about, I've heard the names Carmelo Anthony and who's
Amari Stoudemire.
I've heard those names, but
they play for the Knicks.
And I saw more Knicks games last year. I got caught up in Linsanity.
Oh
So
now he's with Houston.
Yeah. So
But sad story, with the passing of
that is too bad, yeah.
Clippers owner's son. There's been a lot of baseball stuff going on. I mean, before you know it, pitchers and catchers are due to report. What is it, another 6 weeks?
It's usually like 3 or 4 weeks after the Super Bowl, I think. There's that void in February.
Yeah.
You're a month away from March Madness and pitchers and catchers.
Do you anticipate anything big for the Red Sox or Yankees this year? I mean, they're both going to be rebuilding, obviously.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I ran into Bobby V a couple times the last couple months at his restaurant in Stamford. Real nice guy, not cut out to be the manager of the Red Sox, obviously. But I think, Tom, I think the Red Sox have a better shot of making the playoffs than the Yankees do this year. I think age is a big factor, and the only thing that concerns me with the Red Sox, I mean, we picked up Hanrahan, the closer from the Pirates, is our new manager, John Farrell, who used to be on the, what was he, our hitting coach, batting coach? So he's going to have to try it out as a first-time head coach with Boston. He was with Toronto. He was an average 500 coach, nothing crazy. But the team that really surprised me this offseason was the Los Angeles Angels acquiring Josh Hamilton. They have a powerhouse lineup. So,
didn't they have one last year too?
Well, they had Albert Pujols, and he didn't hit his first home run until I don't know, like the second month of the season, and it was apparent the steroid use had obviously, deteriorated. So, but no, on paper it looks like the Angels are the favorites in the American League. So.
Well, I was talking to my nephew Steven this afternoon before coming down here. He's a diehard Yankees fan.
Yes.
And his quote to me was, "I can't believe the Yankees got that piece of Euclid. I can't root for him."
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. What are they signing for? 12, 13 million? Euclid, yeah.
I can't root for him.
No, I know it. I can't either. So you'll be hearing a lot of the Uke chants. Although there might be some other words when he goes to Fenway at his very first game,
Didn't they do the same thing with Johnny Damon when he went to the Yankees?
Johnny Damon and Wade Boggs.
Wade Boggs, yeah.
So,
Babe Ruth?
That's
before your time.
You're giving away your age now, eh?
Yeah. Mike, do you think we'll ever see hockey this year?
Well, hopefully not. I'm not a hockey fan, and I think it's a disgrace. This is, the second time in 6 years or 7 years they've been on strike. They announced yesterday that they are meeting again and possibly going to salvage the remainder of the season, but I think it's actually going to really kill the sport.
It's too bad, too, and I think it was just getting into its own. I only watch hockey during the playoffs, and I have become, I guess, what do they call it, a man crush, but I love Michael Doc Emmerich, who's the play-by-play announcer.
Yep.
Oh, and he is so much fun to listen to.
For the Bruins?
Yeah, does the Bruins, and I think he did the Olympic hockey.
Yes.
He actually had nothing to do in the Summer Olympics, so they put him in, he was calling the water polo games. It just didn't seem right to hear the great Doc Emmerich covering water polo. But
I was just informed. I think he was he's NBC's main guy.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
he is. Were you informed by our crack staff
producer here? Yeah,
NHTV. Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, Michael Doc Emmerich. If you don't like hockey, but like good announcing, just catch a Doc Emmerich game because he announces it with so much passion. I would love for him to be a Jets announcer. So.
Oh, really?
So.
Quickly, just wrapping up the sports news here. Speaking of the Jets, you fired Mike Tannenbaum, your general manager. Not that we really know a lot about general managers and who's on the horizon, but do you think, do you have any clue who your next general manager is, and what do you think is going to happen with Rex Ryan and
I think,
Sanchez? And
and everything I know is from, listening to the sports talk shows. They're interviewing, I think the guy's name is Hecker, who was the Cleveland Brown general manager. And Ryan is going to stay at least for one more year.
One more year.
But who knows? Who knows?
Do you think Sanchez gets the start, or do you think it's going to be McElroy?
I think it'll be Sanchez only because they gave him a raise, and if they get rid of him, there'll be a salary cap damage or something like that. But I think Mark's going to stay, and I think he'll rebound. So
it's quite a debacle there in New York, huh?
Circus.
It's a circus.
Not easy being a Jet. Not easy being green.
No, I hear you.
As some amphibian said before I did.
You probably turned green after that last game.
Yes.
By the way, which was at the hands of the Buffalo Bills.
You must have had a lot of libations the other day watching that game, huh?
All the adult beverages in the world couldn't mask the pain that I had during this Jet season. But.
Well, we're about 10, 12 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen, from our end of the first show here, the very first open mic show at NHTV. You still have time to call in. There's the number on the screen, 203-234-0025. If you notice, I keep looking down. It's not because I'm camera shy. There's a monitor implanted here in the desk here, which shows what is on the screen, and I'm just looking into the monitor. Not used to this, so I might have to cover it. I'm going to have to cover it next week or 2 weeks from now so I don't keep looking down. But it is cool. A lot of different technology here from what I'm used to. With the earpiece, the phone setup. I like it better, I think.
Yeah, it's a cozy studio.
Yes.
We probably could use a portable air conditioner at some point. But,
have a fan right over there in the corner.
You do have a fan, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what they say when the blank hits the fan,
If I can borrow a line from Mr. McCarver and do a shameless plug.
Absolutely.
I would just like to remind everybody that I do help out with another production here, The Squared Circle.
Oh, yes.
With Hollywood J. Williams and John Zimmerman.
Yep.
And they will be back on the air this coming Monday. As they say, they're not on before Raw. Raw's on after them.
That's right.
So they will be on this Monday evening at 7 p.m.
Yep. And just to quickly recap, if you're watching tonight, the show can be seen anywhere in Connecticut if you have Uverse, Channel 99. If you live in North Haven, it's on Comcast Channel 18. And let's say you don't have either one of those options. Well, if you have internet access, you can go on youtube.com/openmic80, and it'll pull up all of my episodes on there. And Tom Dacey, who I trust each and every week, is nice enough to upload all my YouTube videos. We'll have the show replayed within the next morning. So
yep, and tonight's show will be cross-posted on your YouTube page as well as Talking with Tom's YouTube page.
There you go. And we have another caller, believe it or not. So let's get to our next caller. Good evening, caller. You're live on the Open Mic TV show with special guests Tom Dacey and Ed McCarver.
Hey, Mike, how are you? This is John calling in.
Johnny, how are you, bud?
Good.
Are you able to see us out there in Northford?
We're unable to see you, but...
Oh, really?
I have to call in, though. That's...
Well, at least you called in, and this is the number. I'm sorry it didn't work out, but the replay as I was just saying on air, will be up on YouTube by late tonight or tomorrow morning.
Well, the show will be watched tomorrow night.
There you go. And real quick, John, I know you're not able to watch, but I have a poll question tonight, and the poll question is, what is a New Year's resolution of yours? So, do you want to...
Well, my New Year's resolution
Yes.
is winning one of the lotteries.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Mine's actually not playing as much, but
I hear you on that.
yeah.
But actually, I lied. No, I'm never going to stop playing. If I win, there's just more money to play again and again.
That's right. All right, so that's your New Year's resolution. Any other ones that you want to mention? Maybe, and I know, John, you're a Patriot fan, so...
Yes, and hopefully this year I'll get to watch them lift the Stanley Cup.
Or the Lombardi Trophy.
Excuse me, yes, correct.
No one's going to lift the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah.
Not this year.
Stanley Cup this year is on hold.
Yes, absolutely.
It's on ice, as they say.
It's on ice. Yeah. Go Bruins. Well, good luck with your Patriots. Just to recap, John, we won't be on next week. I'll be on 2 weeks from tonight, January 16th.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, thanks for the call.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. A blast from the past. John from our old stomping grounds there.
Gee, where's Backfeed Bob?
Backfeed Bob, well, he's due to call any minute now. It's wrapping up, so he usually calls in late in the show.
Right under the wire, yeah, I do remember that, yeah.
I did give him the number for NHTV at the last time he called in at PAA, so he actually told me he recommended a movie I should watch called Bullets. Or Bullet or Bullets?
Singular, Bullet.
Bullet.
It's a
Bullet.
Steve McQueen movie.
Steve McQueen.
It's it's got to be 20 or 30 years old, and I vaguely remember it. Excuse me. Other than the fact that it has probably the best car chase scene ever filmed.
What's the gist of the plot of the movie?
I really don't know.
Okay.
I'm embarrassed to admit that.
There may be somebody in this room that has that movie.
Okay,
if you'd like to see it.
I'm very eager to see it.
And I remember Backfeet Bob. Actually, Backfeet recommended it a couple of times.
He did, and I feel bad because I've never watched it, and I don't even know nowadays where to go find a movie. I mean, there used to, when I was growing up, when I was your age, I used to go to a Blockbuster video or, Tommy K's video, and nowadays, where do people get videos
Now it's
from?
on Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
It's Netflix, right?
That's what Drew does.
Netflix or pay-per-view.
Or Redbox. Redbox. Okay.
Speaking of 2012, best movie you saw this year?
2012.
Yeah, this past year.
I'm not really a big movie buff. I can't think. Although I am excited about the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Right.
That's out in theaters.
Mine has to be Ted.
Ted.
And I saw Argo.
Argo.
Argo was tremendous.
Yeah, these are all like. It sounds like you're speaking Greek to me because I don't get out much.
No. One of the benefits of being retired is $5 Tuesdays at Wallingford Cinemas.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I saw. And Lincoln was tremendous and all that. I think they're doing the Oscar nominations in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
But Lincoln was tremendous. But Argo was, for me, easily the best film I saw this year.
Argo.
So.
Do you remember what that was about?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It was about the Iran hostage crisis back in the 80s, and Ben Affleck was in it. And Ben Affleck, who was rumored to run for Ted Kennedy's, if John Kerry gets the Secretary of State job, that John Kerry's seat will be up for grabs, and there was rumor that Ben Affleck may try for it. But
Mike was just phoning into my earpiece saying the guy that protected the U.S. citizens died yesterday.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
I didn't know that.
80 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
So
that's what he says, and I believe everything
that's
he
why
says.
this is the crack staff.
There you go.
NHTV, so.
Wouldn't get that at the other station.
I'm not used to people screaming in my ears and telling me things to do. Actually, I was once.
When you get married.
Yeah. But we're just down to the wire here, guys. 4 minutes left. What do you think of the new chroma key, the new background?
I like the new background. I love it.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive.
Yeah,
very impressive. So
I had met with Kevin here, and I don't know his last name. I apologize, but
Capiello.
Capiello, thank you. About a month ago, we went over the music and the background there, which I'm looking at here on my monitor, and so very exciting. And I got to remember not to wear the color blue here because of the background.
Your head will be floating in the air.
I would have just a floating head. And that would be scary.
which we've had several times on our show.
Yeah.
But that's not from the Cuomo.
Yes.
I do appreciate you guys coming on. And,
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah,
This is fun. We were talking. Tommy and I are usually in your position, and now to be the interviewee rather than the interviewer.
And just quickly before we wrap up, for any friends that are watching tonight in North Haven that know the Dacey family, I want to let everybody know that right after this show, you can turn over to Fox, the show Mobbed with Howie Mandel. My niece Danielle Dacey, my brother Kevin's daughter, is dancing in the Mob tonight on the episode Hot for Teacher at 9 o'clock on Fox 61. Okay. From what I understand, she's wearing an orange shirt.
Nice. Oh, congrats. And Tom and Ed, your show, Talking with Tom, will be back on when? Is it the first of the month or?
Well, January 29th.
January 29th is our next one. That's the one that got delayed.
Okay.
And then we will be back February 5th with hopefully Rich Figluski.
Is it on a Tuesday night? Or
yes.
Tuesday nights, okay.
Rich Figluski from the Dry Dock.
Yep.
To talk about a benefit concert they're having at Lyman Hall High School. Rockers in Recovery. I believe that is February 15th, if I'm correct. It'll be at Lyman Hall.
And we've had Rich Figluski on before from the Dry Dock, and those of you that aren't familiar with the Dry Dock over in Wallingford, it's a sober cafe that he opened up a few years ago, and had just tons of success.
And John and I both volunteer there.
Yep.
That's great.
And it's just a great organization. He's just a good guy. So we're going to have him on 2 days after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, after our Super Bowl show.
5th, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm just getting the cue here that we're going to have to wrap things up. I want to thank you, Tom and Ed, for coming on tonight.
Thank you, Mike, and welcome again.
Definitely
welcome again to NHTV.
Thank you. And we'll have you guys on for sure in the upcoming future. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the very first show here at NHTV of Open Mic. Again, to quickly recap, the next live show or broadcast won't be until Wednesday night, January 19th, I'm sorry. Let me get my dates right. 16th, thank you. 2 weeks from tonight, let's just put it that way. 2 weeks from tonight will be my next live episode at 8 p.m. No guests lined up yet, but that could always change at the last minute. So I encourage you to watch 2 weeks from tonight at 8 o'clock. Go on Facebook, go on YouTube, Tommy will have tonight's episode up and running. So for everyone here, I want to thank Mike and the production staff, along with Joe. And for Tom, Ed, and John, producer Pat is NA or MIA tonight, so I'll thank him anyway. Thanks to the callers, and until Wednesday night, January 16th, I'm your host, Michael Cuomo. Thank you for watching. Good night, everyone.
That's that Mike, that young man in the blue shirt.